Hello and welcome to This Week in James City County. I'm your host, Renee Dahlman. I recently had the opportunity to sit down and to learn more about a fantastic new program that we have here in the county called the Community Land Trust. So Heather Benham, who is a partner with Burlington Associates, and Vaughn Poller, who is a James City County employee and he is our neighborhood development administrator, joined in and gave us the background and of this great program. And very important note, they are looking for folks to apply to be on the board of directors for the Community Land Trust. Deadline, though, is April 20th. So listen to this. If this is something that you may be interested in, definitely don't dilly-dally. Get that application in. And Vaughn tells us where you can find that application. You can also give me a call at 757-253-6605, and I can help you try to get to that as well. But again, clock is ticking on that April 20th. So let's take a listen. Okay, Heather, Vaughn, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us on Zoom for the podcast today.
Thanks, Renee. You're welcome.
Thank
Glad to be
you.
here.
Yeah,
Glad
thanks
to
for
have
having us.
you. Now, I know that you both are very involved in a new initiative that the county is doing called a Community Land Trust. And I know what all three of those words mean individually, but I'm not entirely sure what they all mean together. So tell us, what is a Community Land Trust?
Well, Renee, I think when we started this back in 24, we had the same questions, and we went on a to do research, and that's how we learned about Heather. And so Heather, I think, can really dig into that answer for us.
Sure,
Okay.
thanks, Vaughn. So, community land trusts are nonprofit organizations. They're 501c3 nonprofits that are set up to protect land and provide land for different community purposes, but for the most part around affordable housing. So it's a way to set aside land that will be permanently used for affordable housing. I guess
Oh,
that's a succinct way of saying it.
that is awesome. Thank you. So what are some of the advantages of community land trusts?
One of the big advantages is that they are flexible
Okay.
and customizable. So communities can set them up in the ways that meet their needs. They're not all the same exactly. It's not cookie cutter. It's based on what your community's needs are. And so Vaughn and working with James City County, we've been able to dig into what y'all's needs are and try to craft something that's going to meet your needs.
What really piqued our interest was understanding that community land trust is a way to preserve affordability in perpetuity. The county has been putting forth an effort to provide housing affordability in our housing stock for over 40 years. And what my experience early on in those efforts was having to find funding to provide the housing stock, and then watching that housing stock move on into the market rate market, um, and then us losing those units to the market. And what we're really hoping to do in our efforts is to provide quality, affordable housing, but then preserve that affordability for future generations.
Well, and I really like that because I go back to my situation when we were new homeowners in James City County. We lived in our house for about 7 years. It was absolutely an entry-level home. I don't think it was 1,000 square feet. And we decided it was time to sell. And a landlord came in that owns property throughout the county. And they said, we want to buy your house. And we're like, well, we want to sell our house. And so now that I have matured a little bit over the years, I understand how that basically took an entry level home, an affordable home, off of the market for the county.
That happens to, most of us, especially in a county like James City County, where it's highly desirable.
Mhm.
But we have other needs that we need to balance that against. And so having residences for our workforce, having residents for people, community members who want to downsize. And so that's what we're really focused on, diversifying our housing stock so it meets the needs of the entire resident population of James City County.
Do you have anything to add to that, Heather?
Well, I would just say that, you mentioned your story around 7 years selling and then
Mhm.
moving on. And that's actually the same with community land trust homeowners. That what we found over the country is the average tenure of a community land trust home buyer is about 7 years. And then they take that equity that they've built up and they move into the traditional market. So
Mhm.
your experience is similar to what a lot of people need. But if there's not that housing stock to get started, it's hard for people to get in that runway.
All right, so Vaughn, here in James City County, what does our project look like?
So we, the county, purchased some property off of Old Moortown Road back in 24, and we had it rezoned. And we're developing a subdivision there. It's going to eventually be 44 lots, but we're starting off with phase one, which is 8 lots. And we've partnered with Habitat for the Peninsula and Greater Williamsburg to do those first 8 lots. So our aim is for all of this subdivision, the properties in the subdivision, to be part of the James City County Community Land Trust once it's set up. And what that will do is that will preserve these lots in perpetuity so that when the initial purchasers sell, they will have an agreement that they will enter into at the time of purchase that determines what they're going to sell the property for in the future. And that's part of the land trust structure so that everybody knows what they are entering into going in. There are no shockers or surprises with them. People agree to do this up front. And the benefit is that, as Heather was saying, when they sell, they'll have enough to they'll have their mortgage, what they paid into their mortgage, and then they'll have an agreed upon amount that they've agreed to with the trust. And they'll take that amount and go into the market with the standard, the typical housing market, and buy market rate housing there. And so the house that remains in the trust will be offered for sale to the next buyer. But what that buyer won't have to deal with is the entire increase in the value of that house when they go to purchase, because the trust and the resale formula controls that for the next buyer. And that's how you preserve the affordability in perpetuity.
So the current homeowner is able to build equity
Right.
and then,
Absolutely.
well, like you've said, to move on to the next house. But I like it. The brand new people, they don't have to come in at whatever that house sold for.
The value of the home is going to be what it'll be, but the trust through this formula, the resale formula, can control what that next purchase price is for that next owner. And they can do that owner after owner after owner.
Okay. Now, this is probably a really simple question, but I am not a math person. I'm a word person. So, where does the trust get this money?
Mm.
Okay. So this is the thing. So the first time, like Vaughn and James City County has been doing all along, they have to come up with resources to develop these homes and bring the price down to a place where families at a certain income level can afford. And then once and those are called subsidies, right? To get
Okay.
that price down.
Hmm.
And what you're doing with the community land trust is you're locking in those subsidies so they stay in the home. And so sometimes people get confused and they think, okay, so when this next buyer buys, so if I was going to use round numbers,
Hmm.
see if I can do this off the top of my head, but say the first family is going to buy a house that's worth $350,000 for $200,000.
Okay.
So that's $150,000 worth of subsidy you're having to put into the home to get it down to a price. And then 10 years later, that house is going to appreciate like the market does. I should say it's likely to appreciate, and they're going to be paying down on their mortgage. And I think we've calculated that in James City County, that means that maybe after 10 years, the first family would be able to walk away with about $80,000.
Okay.
And of that 80,000, 50,000 is that kind of part of the increase in price. And the way that we've set it up in James City County, and there's still decisions to be made
Hmm.
by an upcoming board of directors, but say they get about 25% of that increase in value. So that's about 50,000. You add that 50,000 to that first purchaser's price, it was 200, and the next family can buy it at 250, right?
Okay.
So there's no the land trust isn't taking money out and making money each time we sell. The what you're doing is you're capturing that subsidy and keeping it in the house so that it stays affordable family after family. And that's how it works. You don't have to keep coming up with more money in the future. Come up with it one time and make it last. And what a lot of local governments are moving to this model because they've seen over the past 25 years as they've come up with all this money to make homes affordable, and they're no longer affordable, and now they're having to come up with even larger and larger amounts of money, and it's harder and harder to find. It's like, we're not making progress like this. Is there a smarter way to do this where we can help generation after generation? And so that's where James City County has gotten to, which is exciting, I think.
That's why, I say that the CLT is simply another tool for the county to use to help provide more affordability.
How many communities have CLTs?
So right now there's around 350 community
Okay.
land trust in the United States, and
Okay.
then they're taking off internationally as well. So
Okay.
it's a rapidly growing group because more and more people are seeing the need as housing continues to get more and more expensive.
Absolutely. How many are in Virginia?
Is it five, Helen?
Maybe seven,
Okay.
Okay.
between
Yeah,
five and seven.
there
Look
you
at
go.
us being early adopters of this. That's awesome. That's
And
awesome.
actually, I will say that one of the things, because I work around the country and particularly in the South, one of the things that's great about Virginia is at a statewide level, um, they've really bought into the idea and are investing in this tool. And so it makes it a good market for you all to get into because there are resources and programs set up to help.
I know that you're starting with, what did you say, 7 or 8 properties?
8 properties.
8 properties. What if somebody is living in a starter home somewhere, they've been there for 15, 20 years, and they don't have anyone to leave the house to?
Yeah.
Can they say, I love this idea, I would love to be part of it?
Yes, they
Okay.
can. CLTs have some flexibility. For instance, we're starting with new construction, but we could just as well start with existing construction with a willing owner who would want to put their property into the CLT. CLTs, the way we envision at this time using the CLT is for residential construction and residential units. But in other localities, CLTs also do commercial, they do business. So it's a beautiful tool. And I think it's really going to help us with our goals of providing more affordability in our housing stock.
So, how are you going to find the families that are going to buy into this program?
Well, the county's been operating a first-time home buyer program since the early 90s,
Mhm.
and we'll be offering the units in the CLT to our first-time home buyers. And so our Office of Housing operates a waiting list. And so they also do housing counseling for every first-time home buyer has to go through housing counseling. And as part of that housing counseling, those interested people will be told about the CLT and be oriented to what it is and what their opportunities are within the CLT. And then they can make that choice as to whether they want to purchase from the CLT or purchase elsewhere.
Very good. Well, and I like how you said that CLT is but one tool in the toolbox, because I know that there's a lot of groups, a lot of folks that are working on affordable housing and different ways that we can go about this. And I love how this is not a one stop, that's going to take care of the entire issue. It's not, but it's a great way to get started. It's just going to require patience
Right.
on people's part because as they want to wait for that equity to build before the
Yeah.
next family can come in.
Housing is a spectrum. There's no silver bullet, no one size fits all.
Mhm.
Um, between James City County's Office of Housing and the Office of Neighborhood Development, we're looking at where people are some people are already in a structure that they may own outright, they may have inherited, and that structure may not be meeting their needs safely. You
Mhm.
know, there may have been delayed repairs, or there may be other things going on depending on when that structure is built. So the housing office has programs there to help with housing rehabilitation. The county has programs where people who are on septic systems and they're struggling to maintain those systems over time. So we have grants to help them pump the systems. Housing has some funds, depending on where the houses are located and the availability of the funds to help make repairs. A lot of these are income based.
Mhm.
Um, the septic pump out grant is not well, actually, I think it is income-based and age-based. But all that to say that we've got these other things and
Mhm.
people face other issues. But when it comes with our first-time home buyer, you know, again, the CLT is but another tool for us to help people provide or acquire affordable housing.
So I know you just rattled off 40 different great programs that the county is involved with, Vaughn. What is the website that people can go to if they want to learn more?
They can go to the county's website, which
Okay.
is www.jamescitycountyva.gov. So that's a long one.
Hmm.
And then once they get there, if you look under the government tab, you'll see social services and you'll
Hmm.
see housing under there. Housing has a really great website. In fact, it's an housing has appified the site.
Hmm.
And so anyone with a smartphone can download that app. You can go to the either the Play Store for your Google devices or the App Store for your iPhones, and you can search JCC Housing, and you'll find the app. You can download it to your phone, and that app gives you access to all of housing's programs, including the stuff that we're doing in the CLT. And it's a great resource. It's an award-winning resource, actually. We really want people to utilize it there. There's a lot of information, and you can interact with the housing staff over that app.
Okay. Now, I know I promised you we would get back to it. Board of Directors. We're going to do a real quick little push on this because this program needs to be administered by somebody. So tell us about this Board of Directors that's forming.
The CLT is going to be a standalone organization,
Okay.
and it's going to be led by a board of directors.
Okay.
And right now, we have an open request for residents who are interested in sitting on that board. It's going to be a 9-member, what we call triumphant, help me, Heather,
Tripartite
tripartite,
board.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It'll be triumphant too, but a
Yeah, they both.
tripartite board, uh, meaning it's made up of 3 different sectors on the board. So we're looking for board members right now, and if you're interested in volunteering for the board, you can fill out an application on our website. And so the way you get there is jamescitycountyva.gov/4185. And then that's going to bring you to the application, the online application. Just fill it out and hit return or hit send, and it'll come into my mailbox and we'll put you on the list. So what's going to happen is we're going to take that list, we're going to present the full list to the Board of Supervisors. They are going to look it over and they're going to select 9 members to start. So as a tripartite board, that first 9 people will have staggered terms. It'll be 3-year terms, 2-year terms, and 1-year terms. And so um, after the first 1-year people roll off, the remaining 6 will select 3 members. And that'll continue on until what will happen is you'll have 3 members selected by the Board of Supervisors, 3 members who will actually be residents of the land trust, and then 3 members who are from the greater community who want to volunteer for the board. And, you know, at that time, the board is going to be also looking to see, and what we're looking for at the start is people have different experiences that'll be useful to the trust. So maybe they have some experience in working with low moderate income populations. Maybe they have experience as in the law or in accounting or in community development or civic relations. So we're wanting to have a broad set of experiences sit on this board because the land trust is going to serve everybody.
Mhm.
And so we want to have a board that has an understanding of the people who are living in the trust.
Okay, now I know we have a deadline coming up quite quickly.
Yeah, actually, so we're going to be entertaining volunteers to apply until April 20th.
Okay.
And then that list will go to the board. And we're imagining that the board will select those 9 members probably by the end of May, early June, somewhere in
Okay.
there.
Okay. So time is definitely of the essence
It is.
on that. So we are recording this on the 15th. So hoping to get this out later today, but this is a great opportunity for folks to get involved in their community, and I love that. So is there anything else that we need to know about CLT at this point?
I'll just say, I mean, of course, I'm a little biased because this is what I do. This is the world that I work in. I'm really excited for James City County because I think you all are really well positioned to utilize this tool in a way that's going to be successful and be a real benefit to your community. And you're lucky to have a local government that's got capacity and experience and expertise that can help foster and grow this thing. And then you have an engaged citizenry. And so I'm expecting really strong applicants for this board. And I'm excited to come later this summer and do some of the first trainings in the board retreat, and get you guys ready to put units in this thing that are going to last forever.
I think the other thing that we really have going for us is our board of supervisors because they have really dug into this. And, staff is just following their leadership, but they really do care about housing affordability in James City County. So it's been great to have that kind of support.
Well, very good. Well, thank you both so much for coming on and telling us about this very exciting new project. I sure appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
All
Mhm.
right. Thank
Well,
you. That wraps up this episode of This Week in James City County. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please take a moment to subscribe. That way you will never miss an episode. You can also go to our website. We're at jamescitycountyva.gov/podcast. And while there, you're going to find all of our episodes that we've done, as well as a form that you can complete, give us show ideas, comments, critiques, whatever you want to tell us. We would love to hear from you. So, again, if you're interested in serving on the board of directors, get that application in by April 20th. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll talk with you next week.